Right. Hello, good evening. Welcome back, Year 11, to the last and final YouTube Live for the class of 2023. So if you can hear me, please let me know, and then we can get started. So I've just switched the mic. I'm just checking if it's working. So just leave a thumbs up if you can hear me, and then we can get started. Cool. Right. So welcome back, Year 11, to the final YouTube Live, where we are going to be looking at Language Paper 2. So yes, welcome back. So what we are going to do essentially is break down each individual question and give you some top tips and some advice, last minute advice on how to prepare for tomorrow's exam. So we're less than 24 hours away. So hopefully by the end of this live, you will have a better insight going into your exam. So tomorrow's exam, again, it's 1 hour 45, but it's paper 2. So you'll have two sources. One will be a modern text, so from the 20th or 21st century, and the other will be a 19th century text. So you are going to be asked to compare the two. So the first question, very quickly, okay, it's relatively straightforward. So what you need to do here, in simple terms, is literally shade in the four true statements. Okay, so you'll have options A to H, as you can see, and all you do is you literally shade in the four true statements. So what I would say for question one is literally use cancelling out. So go through the options tomorrow, and there'll be certain sort of statements that you know that are definitely wrong, and you just want to sort of cross it out on the side. So you might want to put an X, and any possible answers you might want to put a question mark on. Okay, and remember to shade it in. Make sure you answer question one. Okay, because what I realized is for some reason I had some students who forgot to answer question one, perhaps because they started off with section B, question five. So that again is out of four. You all should be getting 4 out of 4. So remember, sometimes what happens is the example they try to trick you. So two of the options may be similar. So that's question number two. Question number one. So I'll move on very quickly. Question number two. So question two. Can you all write down in the chat section, what is question two assessing? What is it about? So maybe in a sentence or two, what is question two assessing? Because there seems to be a lot of confusion. A lot of students say it's question two and question four the same. But let's see if you all can comment. What is question two assessing tomorrow? Differences or similarities in both A and B. Summary, language and structure. Oh, hello, Moed. Welcome to the YouTube live. So again, just be cautious because I know you're EdXL, but I'll go over it later on for EdXL, okay? So just stay tuned for that. Inference and ability to summarize. That is correct. Well done. Summary and inferences. Summary and assess inference and judicious textual references. That's very good. That's exactly what you need to do. Inferences. Well done. Okay, so that's really good. So let's have a look at it in further detail. So this question, what in simple terms, what you're doing is you're writing a summary. Okay, the key word here is summary. You're summarizing source A and source B. What do you understand? Um, so sorry. In terms of question two, you don't talk about language or structure because you don't get any marks for that, and it's only worth 8 marks. So the acronym you'd use for this is statement, quotation, inference link. So it's called SQUIL or skill. So you're writing 2 skill paragraphs. Okay, but the most highest mark, so 8 out of 8, will show in-depth inference. So you read between the lines and show the examiner what you understand from source A and source B and the difference between the two. So we'll look at some model answers and then you can sort of look at it and comment as well. In terms of timing for this question, you should literally spend, I would say, up to 10 minutes, but you can probably finish it maybe in 8 or 9. Is this AQA? Yep. It is AQA. So we are going over the AQA language paper 2. So so literally, again, 2 paragraphs. Make sure you focus on the inferences. Remember, perceptive inferences. So yes, you need to look at the obvious, the explicit, but see what can you comment in terms of the implicit, so the not so obvious, in terms of you scoring the top marks for question number 2. And do not spend too long on this question because it's only worth 8 marks. Okay, I know you all are trying to get the highest mark possible, but you do need to be quick with it because you've got other questions to answer. So 10 minutes tomorrow, students, and quickly move on. Okay, so that's number 2. Does anyone have any questions for question number 2? Please ask now because I do want to focus on questions 4 and 5. Is there anything you would like to ask about question 2? If not, just leave a thumbs up so then we can move on to the next question. Should we answer this last? Okay, so what I would say again, it's up to you, Absol. So it's up to you what order you go in. So you could start off with 1 and then go to 2, then 3, then 4, and sort of build your way through it. Or alternatively, you can start off with section B, the question 5, which is the most important question, and then work your way from section B back down to section A. Should we answer these questions in a specific order? So question 4 first. Again, it's up to you. I would say you would do question 2, then question 3, then question 4. Okay, because question 4 is worth 16 marks, and a lot of the points you make in 2 and 3 may help you have a better understanding of perspectives. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, and that's something that you can use to sort of guide you for section A. And remember, question 4 is very important. If you want to achieve your target grades, you need to be aiming to write the best possible answer for the 16 marker. Okay, so that's that. So I hope that's answered your questions. Very quickly, question number 3. This question again is not alien to you. It's language analysis. So how does the writer use language to describe the power of the sea? It's 12 marks, so it's assessment objective 2. So that goes for Edexcel, it goes for Educast and AQA. So you're essentially looking to write 3 petal paragraphs. So what do we have to focus on for question 3? So how do you score the top marks for question 3? What's the key word? It's the key sort of area. Whenever you analyze a language, they always look at it. Examiners, they always look out for this, in fact. Effect, effect, effect. Well done. Excellent. Yep. Effect. It's always on focus on the effect. Well done. Yep. Excellent. See, it seems like everyone's been revising. Well done. Effect. Okay. So what do we mean by effect here? You need to look at the impact of the language. Why has the writer used this particular technique? So the simile or the metaphor. Why has the writer used this metaphor? What is it used to show? Is it used to accentuate the ferocious nature of the sea, or you need to tell us what it is used for. Otherwise, your answer is not going to be a level 4 response. A lot of the time, if you look at the examiner's reports as well, students are identifying language, okay, no problem. The adverb, the adjective, the simile, the metaphor, but they don't seem to focus on the effect. And remember, when you talk about the effect on the reader, don't just say tomorrow, so this affects the reader because they feel sympathetic. Okay, so that is really, really simple and it doesn't really pick up high marks. You have to tell us why is it? What is it that influences the reader to feel sympathetic? What happens within that quote? What is it exactly that makes us feel sympathetic? So always ask yourself how and why. Okay, I did say this for language paper 1. Ask yourself how and why. It's absolutely crucial. And in terms of timings, so it is 12 marks. I would say spend up to 15 minutes for this question. Your analysis here needs to be in depth and detailed. As mentioned in the mark scheme for level 4, detailed and perceptive analysis. Okay, that's absolutely crucial. So let me see if I have a model paragraph. There we go. So let's have a look at this model paragraph. It reads the following. This is a level 4 response. So Bird describes the power of the sea when he uses the metaphor towering white crest. So make sure you identify the language technique. As you can see, terminology, you get marks for referring to the relevant subject terminology. This suggests that the wave is growing in stature as it builds, consequently dwarfing the surfers. It appears like a mighty beast above them. So I've mentioned this for language paper one. Often you'll see nature, you'll see the power of nature demonstrated within the insert. So you can sort of look at this predator-prey relationship. It's a reoccurring idea you see in past papers. It appears like a mighty beast above them, potentially acting as a threatening force trying to intimidate them. That's inference. Detailed inference here. The adjective identified the word class towering. Okay, zoom in. Remember zooming in using petal. The adjective towering indicates that it looms over them like an omnipotent or godlike being, demonstrating the sheer strength and dominance it possesses over human life. Okay, so if we look at that, so if I just turn it slightly, the analysis here, you have to zoom in on an effective piece of language and link back to the point. So this here is a prime example of a level 4 paragraph. Okay, so you do that over 3 paragraphs and you're good for question 3. You should be scoring 11/12 out of 12. So what I would say for question 3 for tomorrow is focus on providing perceptive analysis and see if you can look at it in different sort of angles. See if you can look at the quotation in different sort of angles, okay? Because that will allow you to score top marks. Right, so that's question 3. I'm going to move on very quickly. So let's move on to question 4. So that's question 3, and then question 4 is the comparison question. So for this question, you need to refer to the whole of source A together with the whole of source B. Okay, so you're comparing the perspectives. Compare how the writers conveyed the different perspectives. So here's the viewpoint and feelings about their experiences at sea. In your answer, you could compare the different perspectives and feelings. So your focus tomorrow for question 4 should be on the writers of source A and source B. Okay. Secondly, compare the methods. Important word, write this down. Methods, it doesn't just include language, but it also includes structure. Absolutely crucial. I did mention this to my students, recently in our sessions. Compare the methods the writer uses to convey the different perspectives and feelings. And finally, support your response with references to both texts. So it is 16 marks. So it's absolutely crucial that you are providing in-depth details for source A and source B. Okay, so if you look at the sort of past paper and model answers, you'll realize the questions or the answers, sorry, that score level 4, they show in-depth comparison and they always link back to the writer's feelings. Okay, so how do you get top marks on the? Oh, hello, Riyadh. So welcome to my YouTube live. So how do you get top marks? So in simple terms, you need to provide in-depth comparisons through language and structure. Okay, so you see when you're reading it, you're gonna find examples of language and structure from source A and source B. So for language, obviously that could be the use of a simile, a metaphor, personification. In terms of structure, you can look at foreboding, you can look at shifts in focus, you can look at a cyclical structure, um, you can look at chronology, zooming in, zooming out. So it's literally what you looked at for language paper 1, question 3. So nothing here should be alien to you. Okay, so so exactly. So that should answer your question. Okay, so you're literally looking at exploring both language and structure for question number 4. Okay, so yes, so these are all examples of structural features. So thank you for commenting on the chat here, and you can use this essentially to support your answer. Should we give an alternative point of view or write a conclusion? So here again, if you can find an alternative point of view, meaning when you look at the quote, if you can provide an alternative quote, then an alternative interpretation, that can show perceptive understanding of the text. Okay, so that can potentially get you higher marks. So if there is an alternative interpretation, then for sure you can mention that. I'd pace, dialogue, and sentence structure count. Yeah, so dialogue, yeah, exactly. So that would fall under methods. Okay, so if you want to look at the dialogue, the sentence structure, that's completely fine because that does cover the writer's methods in showing their perspectives and viewpoints. Okay, so I hope that sort of answers your question in regards to question 4. So let's have a look at a model answer. So this is a model answer just to show you the level of detail you have to provide for question number 4. A right to conclude a Riyadh. So I mean, again, you don't have to specifically include a conclusion, but if you would like to, that's completely fine. Okay, but it's not, a strict requirement. So if you can, could you please make a template for a conclusion paragraph for question four? Again, it'd be quite similar. So you'd start off with ultimately or to conclude, and you're literally echoing what you said in the first paragraph or so. Okay, so you're echoing and you're essentially answering the question. It's literally 2 or 3 lines. Okay, so that's that. So let's have a look at a model answer just to give you a better insight. So you can literally start off in source A, surfers are described as bronze gods in incredibly good shapes. Okay, so that's our evidence. Remember, you need to support it with the writer's methods. This metaphor emphasizes the writer's awe towards surfers, as gods are often idols of worthy of worship. The comparatives look at the word class happier and healthier than anyone I had ever seen shows the writer's admiration for surfers. However, in Source B, surfers ride majestically and were daring, but they are described as athletes. While the word majestically has connotations of royalty and greatness, the word athletes returns the status of surfers to that of normal people as opposed to gods. So that in itself is simple but effective comparison, okay, and definitely worth a level 4 response. So you still need to analyze the language and structure and help show what the writer is addressing here, so their feelings, their attitudes. Continuing that same point, so continuing with the paragraph, in source A, the writer was dazzled by hot surfer. These words have connotations of the sun, which is hot and dazzling, making surfers seem powerful and amazing to the writer. By contrast, so make sure you use words like this. By contrast, in source B, the writer held her breath in terror and felt anxiety. Watching the surface, the harsh consonants of terror combined with the onomatopoeic dashed, okay, remember the sound dashed, to pieces, creates a sense of danger and fear. In this way, the writer does not enjoy watching surfing as much as Mike Doyle, as she is afraid of the danger. Okay, so that is focusing on the writer's perspectives. And then again, same concept you apply and find a different point. By the way, the more points you make, the more likely the examiner is going to award you higher marks. So this is a top tip for tomorrow. Try to come up with additional points, okay? Because these sort of additional points you make will give you top marks. In source A, surfing is described as secretive. The writer uses a shift in focus. Look, we need to look at structure as well. They were gone to describe how surfers are only seen before crowds arrive during the day. The words are monosyllabic and simple, which presents the complete disappearance of surfers once the crowds arrive. The image of a few surfers out at dawn has connotations of rare animals only spotted at certain times, which shows the writer's interest in becoming a part of this secret society. So, connotations is something that you can look at, of course, look at a particular word and look at the connotations of that word as well. So, what does that word sort of imply? What can you sort of infer from that word? Okay, and why has the writer used this particular word? Okay, in source B, on the other hand, surfers put on a grand display and are received with ringing cheers by the crowd. The writer uses a semantic field of appreciative noises to show this. Notice how this grade 9 answer focuses on structure and language. Okay, remember for tomorrow, please make sure you look at structure and language. Okay, um, so the writer uses a semantic field of appreciative noises to show this. These are ringing cheers, roars of laughter, and shouts from the shore. The description of sounds makes surfing seem lively and noisy, suggesting that the writer sees it as a public and open affair. There are legions of local people. This alliteration draws attention to the image of a vast number of people gathering for the favorable surf, showing that the writer believes surfing to be for everyone to take part in. In Source A, the writer attempts to surf a semantic field of clumsiness. So we're looking at semantic field and how it's used in both sources. A semantic field of clumsiness is used to describe his attempt. He dragged the board and flopped on top of the thing. After a few awkward tries, he got that big clumsy thing going left on a wave. These words don't have perfect, godlike connotations, which shows the writer's realistic perspective on being a beginner. So a top tip I would give you all, make sure you use specifically the word perspective, okay, because the examiner is looking for that. So a top tip year 11 is please make sure use the word perspective, okay. That will give you and also the examiner an insight of you of how you're answering the question accurately, okay. So that's something for you to remember. The writer also addresses his fear as he completely panicked. The exclamation mark in I hadn't thought that far ahead yet. Remember, students, an extra point, additional marks, punctuation. Is this something that you can mention for question 4? Yes. So don't ever say, okay, I've written enough. There's always an additional point you can make for question 4. Even punctuation, as you can see, I've mentioned here. The exclamation mark in I hadn't thought that far ahead yet further emphasizes the writer's alarm as a beginner, suggesting that surfing is not all perfect. Okay? And then in source B, however, the writer presents the less expert surfers in a more comic light. Firstly, the use of less expert still suggests that even the worst surfers are still somewhat experts, which contrasts, okay, important word, which contrasts with the view that beginners are not very amazing or majestic, and presents a sugar coated view of surfing. These slightly worse surfers failed and slid back into smooth water. The sibilance is soft and gentle. Look at the in depth analysis, yeah? The surfers were rolled over and over and caused roars of laughter. The repetition of over and the long assonant O sound has a comic effect, showing that the writer found the less expert surfers funny and nothing more. And finally, literally conclusion. In conclusion, both writers present differing views on surfing, as one of them actually tried it. However, they both admire surfers for their great skill. And that is, students, year 11, how you would answer question 4. So, again, this is something that you need to do. I know it's really long, but this is what you need to do to score literally 15 or 16 out of 16. In depth exploration of language and structure for question 4. Remember this. Okay, so let's have a look at the questions. Okay, hello Talha, welcome to my YouTube live. So how many paragraphs do we write for question 4? Okay, so again, you're looking to write around 3 to 4 paragraphs, ideally. But like I said, there's no specific number. So tomorrow, don't panic. Oh, I've only written 2 paragraphs. I've written 5 paragraphs. It's what you mention within those paragraphs. Okay, you can even write 2 paragraphs and still get full marks. You can write 3 paragraphs and get lower marks. You can write 5 paragraphs and still only get 5 marks. It's about what you say within those paragraphs. But just for guidance, Talha, you're probably looking to write around 4 paragraphs, okay? So two on source A, two on source B, one for source A in terms of language, one for source B in terms of language, one for source A in terms of structure, and one on source B in terms of structure as well. That way, you're forcing the examiner to score you the top marks for question 4 because the mark scheme does say detailed comparison. So obviously that requires you to look at both language and structure. I think you're right. The exact same thing for what comes out like a is the should have right both connotation should we add inferences. Okay, so yeah, so you can look at inferences here and make sure you link it to the writer's viewpoint. Okay, so if you provide your inferences, make sure you link it to how it shows the writer's viewpoints. Okay, no, okay, okay. So did you go over question 2? Yeah, I've gone over question 2, Riyadh. So once this YouTube live ends, you can watch it, or alternatively, you can check it out on my YouTube playlist, or it's on the recent video somewhere. How do you write an alternative paragraph for question 4? What do you mean? So, as in, if you're asking on alternative or a counter, there's no counter. But what I meant here is when you look at a quote, see if you can provide an alternative interpretation. So you want to write this down. So when you look at the quote, you might want to provide number 1, the literal meaning behind the quote, and number 2, the metaphorical meaning behind the quote. Okay, so that's the easiest approach you want to take for question 4. So the literal and the metaphorical. Okay, so that's one thing that you want to consider and look out for question 4. If you can do that successfully, then the examiner will be impressed and for sure will be forced to award you level 4, which shows perceptive understanding of the writer's perspectives. So how do we start an article or a letter? Okay, we are going to get onto that in a bit. Would you have time to write 6 paragraphs? Is that for question 5? Yeah, Again, if it's shorter, more concise paragraphs, then potentially. But again, you're looking at 3 to 4 paragraphs for question 4. So how do we do inferences? So it's what you understand from the quote. Okay, if you read between the lines, it's what you understand from the quote. Okay, so that's what we mean by inference. But let me give you an easy example, right? So Joe clenched his fist, stomped across the room, and slammed the door behind him. So if you read that in a text, okay, Maya, you can infer that Joe was angry. He was furious. Okay, so it's literally when you read something and you come up with you deduce information and you come up with your own assumption based on what they've said. So we do okay. How many language and structural devices should we roughly find on each extra? That's a good question, Talha. So to answer that, I would say probably five of each. Okay, so five from source A and five from source B. I think that would be perfect. That would be fine. So I would say 5 to 6. So obviously 2 or 3 for language, 1 or 2 for structure. That's more than enough. Okay. If you find more, then obviously you can add those on. And personally, I would say the more you find, the easier you'll find question 3 and 4. Okay, so I hope that sort of answers your questions for question 4. How did you find that for question 4? Leave a thumbs up if you understood what I've covered. Do you all have a better understanding for question 4? Leave a thumbs up if you are feeling confident with question 4. So then we can sort of move on to the last and final question. Okay, question 4. You all will be fine. Trust me. And don't just keep it simple and stick to the writer's feelings, the writer's viewpoints. Okay, and you're good to go. Excellent. Okay, thank you. Thumbs up. Okay, it's looking good. Well done. Question 4. Can you please make sure you are writing in in-depth comparison? Think about RE. Think about English literature. Think about how much you had to write for your exams. So again, it's absolutely crucial that you are providing in-depth comparisons here. So that's absolutely crucial. Okay, oh, excellent. Well done. So thank you very much. Well done. And that is that. So that is questions 1 to 4 covered, section A. I hope it goes really, really well. And let's be honest, this is probably the last time you are going to be sitting an English paper. So you really want to make sure it's the best one yet. And you all have worked really, really well. So it's just that final push now. And please make sure you finish question 4. Okay. Believe me, I've gone over the maths, I've gone over the numbers. If you want to achieve excellent grades for English, trust me, it comes down to question 4 and 5. Okay. I'm telling you from experience, you need to make sure question 4 and 5, you write the best possible answer you ever have. Okay. Okay, awesome. Right, so that's fine. Before we continue, remember I have videos on my YouTube channel, so they have been uploaded. If you're not sure how to structure the answer, you can literally watch those videos back, and there's some model answers as well, so you can look at them and sort of make notes as well. What I would say for this evening, don't do any past papers, don't panic. Okay, just read over your notes, watch the videos, and probably you'd want to go to sleep early because obviously tomorrow it's important and it's a big day. So that's something for you to remember. Okay, so that's section A covered. Any final questions for section A before we move on to section B? I have a question for question 2. When you have time, I just joined. Okay, that's fine. Also, this live is going to be saved, so you can ask there. So, do you advise doing question 4 and 5 first? I, okay, I would say, like, again, it's up to you. I would say if I was doing the exam again, I would probably start off with question 5. Okay, the reason is because if you think about it, you go into the exam. Generally, the first hour, you're sort of thinking, sort of performance is probably at its peak. It's at its optimum. So if you think of it tactically, you'd probably want to use the first hour to focus on the most important question. That's question 5. Okay. But again, it's just a personal preference. So it's something that you should consider for tomorrow's exam. But again, if you want to start with section A, that's completely fine as well. Why no past papers? What exam board are you? If you're AQA, there's an abundance of past papers on the website. But again, what I would say, students, don't do past papers now. I don't want you to panic. Just relax and just go over like videos, your model answers, go through your notes. Just read over your notes. Even tomorrow morning, Don't do any past papers. There's no point. Just flick through your notes. Look at your flashcards. I know some of you have made flashcards. Even if you have mind maps, go over them. How many hours? So what time should we sleep? Okay. Again, that is up to you. But obviously, in terms of time, so it is currently 8:36 p.m. in London. So I would say probably by 10 o'clock. Okay, 10, 11 at most. But you do need to be ready to go for tomorrow. Okay. Um, no, don't sleep, but spend the time productive. No, I would say you need to sleep obviously on time. Yeah, after your prayers, after the Isha prayer, then you can go to sleep. Yeah. So that's that. Right. So I'm going to try finish all the okay, so that's fine. So I'm gonna have to move on. Okay, so let's move on to the last and final question, the most important question in the entire paper. So this is an important question if you want to do really well. So let's have a look at it. So section B, writing, the last and final battle. Okay, question 5. It's the final question, and it's for most of you the last ever question you'll do for English language. And after that, you can, sort of forget about English and no longer need to revise. So, what is question 5 about? It's essentially persuasive writing or transactional writing for EdExcel and Educast. So, it is 40 marks for all exam boards. So, I know some of you are EdExcel and Educast here, but this entire question and section is extremely important. So, what are the forms of text that may appear tomorrow? Can you let me know in the chat section? What are the different forms of text that you need to know? Okay, so awesome. Okay, so letter, speech, article, essay. Well done. There's one more. Leaflet. Okay, well done. I'm glad that my students have been listening in class. So well done, students. So it is in fact a leaflet, article, a speech, an essay, and a letter. So you need to be prepared for all of these. You lot do give us. Okay, right. So let's have a look at it very quickly and just sort of cover it. So if you're asked to write a letter, remember you need to show the examiner you know how to write a letter. So when you write a letter, you need to start off with dear. So, for example, if you're writing to the Minister for Transport, you'd say, "Dear Minister for Transport." Okay, and then obviously you'll indent and start your answer. And when you end your letter, make sure you end it with "yours sincerely" or "yours faithfully." But again, that is not important. The important part is what you actually say within the question. Okay, it's the quality of your idea. So let's have a look at this question, and I'll just go over it very quickly and very briefly. So it is people who have extraordinary skill, courage, and determination who deserve to be famous, not those who have good looks or lots of money or behave badly. Write a letter to the editor of a newspaper in which you argue your point of view in response to this statement. And notice, look at this side here, 24 marks for content and organization and 16 marks for technical accuracy. So again, this question, please make sure you write the best possible answer. When you plan, make sure you plan properly. Don't be lazy with your plan, because I always say this, a good plan leads to a good answer. Trust me on this. I know you don't get marks for your plan, but you want to make sure you have a detailed plan and follow the plan. Stick to the plan. Okay. If you stick to the plan, trust me, you will do really, really well for this question. Now, an acronym you can use for this question is something called MES or MES, whatever you want to call it. So it's literally M. So M is for money. So how is money affected by this statement? I'm sure you can make a link one way or another. E is education. How does it link to education? The second E is environment. How does it impact our environment? S is self. So self is society. S is self. So how does it impact you as a person? And the final S is society. So how does it impact us as a society as a whole? So a simple acronym. If someone can write it for me, just type it because obviously I'm speaking. But can someone just break down what MES or MES is? It's literally an acronym you can use for any question 5 to plan. Okay, and I'm telling you this. Believe me, for any question 5, you can use this. Now, some of them may not be applicable. For example, environment or education, but most of it will be applicable for this question. Okay, so that's something that you want to use. How do we manage time for planning? So I would literally say you spend 5 minutes on planning your question. So if you can look at the chat, students. So one of my students, so Tamim, he's written what MES stands for. Capital M stands for money. Capital E stands for environment. The second stands for education. The capital S stands for self. So how does it impact you? And the final S is society. How does it impact us as a society? So that's something that you want to remember. Okay, so you want to use that. I know that in another way: emotional health, financial, and environment. Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Riyadh. Yeah, so Riyadh, if you look at the chat, you all would understand what MES is. It's literally what you'd use to plan your question 5. So you want to look at this question. So if we look at this question, it is people who have extraordinary skill, courage, and determination who deserve to be famous, not those who have good looks or lots of money or behave badly. So if you think about MES, if you think about money, with the rise of social media, more and more people are influenced by money. They like to see, people living a lavish lifestyle, and that's what they look up to. So money is a big factor, and it's something that a lot of young people look up to. So you can talk about how students or teenagers are easily influenced. Okay, so you may want to use a statistic or a fact to back up your point here. Okay, so that's that. What topic will come up for question 5? So again, what I would say, just a heads up, it could be on technology. Okay, it could be on education. It could be on healthy lifestyle. So healthy diet, exercise, sports, things like that. So these are some areas for you to explore. Number 4, potentially it could be on crime. Okay, so prisoners and the consequences of crime, etc. And number 5, again, you want to look at smartphones, social media, and again, that overlaps with technology. Traveling has come up many times before, but again, I doubt that they will give you a similar question this year. Now, in terms of how to structure the question, I'm going to go over some very quick, simple ways you can approach this question. So, where was it? Yeah. Here we have, this is something I've shown to my students. These are vocabulary and sentences you can use regardless of the question tomorrow for question 5. So these include, there's a myriad of reasons, um, and so on. So what I would say, I'm not going to go over it in detail because it's going to take too long. You probably want to take a screenshot and read it and read the examples in your own time. And what I would say is literally memorize this. Okay, it's only what 5 or 6. I'm sure most of you will be able to learn these for tomorrow. And remember, you have to use ambitious vocabulary. Use it continuously. So each paragraph that you write for question 5, you have to follow the 2-2-2 rule. Okay, well, you don't have to, but you should. You should follow the 2-2-2 rule. So that basically is, to those of you who are new here, the paragraphs you write, you should aim to write paragraphs which consist of 2 types of language techniques, so 2 deforest techniques, 2 types of punctuation, and 2 types of ambitious vocabulary. Because if you can follow this for AO5 and AO6, that is tailored to level 4, so the highest band for both AO5 and AO6. So follow the 2-2-2 rule for every single paragraph, and trust me, it will go a long way. Okay, so that's something that you want to remember and use for your paragraphs. So you may ask, sir, how do I start my answer? I know some of you are panicking and thinking, how do I start? But fortunately here, we've got different ways to sort of begin your paragraphs, regardless if it's the introduction, whether it's the second paragraph, the third paragraph or so. So here we have, to those of you who I taught this weekend, you probably have come across this. What do you need to include, or what are the different ways you can start? So for example, you can start literally begin with an example. Okay, so recently Several television programs and newspaper commentaries have addressed the decriminalization of drugs, indicating how important this issue has become in the United Kingdom. Alternatively, you may want to start your paragraphs with a question. So, something so simple. Should the country's leaders consider the effects of decriminalizing drugs in the United Kingdom? Number three, begin with a fact or statistic. Number four, begin with a description. And number five, begin with imagine. So these are some simple ways that you can start your paragraphs. And what you notice here is as you write your paragraphs, a lot of these techniques or strategies do implement the deforest techniques. Okay, so that's something that you can use to literally start any of your paragraphs. And it doesn't matter what order you go in, but it's something that you can consider for each individual paragraph. So remember, use deforest for this question. So that's that. Also, remember using a wide variety of punctuation. Okay, so don't just use commas and full stops, but also use like semicolons, colons, brackets, hyphens, and dashes. What are the list of language devices to use? What are the list of language devices? Okay, so Riyadh, that so that's literally the forest. Okay, so that's like direct address. Okay, if you want to write this down, you can write this down. Anecdote, alliteration, anaphora, and then F, you've got facts and figures. O, we've got oxymoron, you've got opinion. So an opinion you can use easily. It's an expert opinion. So it could be from a doctor, it could be from a professor, it could be from a reporter from Sky News. And then after that, we've got so DAFO, R. So R is repetition and rhetorical question. Okay. E is emotive language. S is simile, sibilance. Okay. Statistics, so they overlap. And finally, T, which is literally rule of three. Okay, so that's something that you want to use. Okay, so if you can use this, students, across your answer, please make sure. So I know there's 21, 22 of you on this live. Make sure tomorrow you use the forest across your answer. Don't just use it in paragraph one, but use it across. Okay, so don't just use it in paragraph one and forget about it. Use it consistently. The reason being is if you look at the examiner's report, is that a lot of the time students are using it in the first paragraph or two, but then they completely forget about it. Okay, so that's something that you need to do. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you to practice this evening. I do think you just need to just flick through your notes, but just remember for tomorrow, use it throughout from paragraph one to paragraph 5 or 6. Okay, so I hope that sort of gives you a better understanding. So if you're unsure, look, these are all different ways you can start your paragraphs, whether it's paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, whichever. Try to show a wide variety here. Okay, so that's that. Also easy, simple positive and negative metaphors for you to use tomorrow. A cure, medicine, door for positive, for negative, a plague, disease, whatever. So, for example, if it's on social media or smartphones tomorrow, you could say social media is a cure to your life. Okay, so you can use hyperbole as well. Okay, so that's something for you to use in your answer. Right. So anaphora. So I did. So to those of you who are taught today, you would know anaphora is literally a form of repetition, but it's used at the beginning of the sentence. Okay, that's something for you to use. Okay, so that's something for you to consider and use in your sort of answer. Okay, right. So moving on. So that's that. I'm gonna have to move on. Okay, okay. This one I'm gonna have to skip. Okay, counter argument. Okay, so you see for question 5, can we provide a counter argument? So a question, you see for question 5, can you provide a counter argument? Yes, absolutely. So you can provide a counter argument, but what I need you to remember, please remember, when you give a counter argument, you need to make sure you are well after you give the counter argument, you justify and you tell us why that's wrong, okay? And you want to give us a solution. So have you all heard of the because but so model? So for persuasive writing? So the because but so model, in simple terms, the because is your reasoning to why you agree with the statement, and then the but is your counter, and the so is your solution. So what I would say tomorrow, see if you can provide a solution. Don't just say, oh, social media is a complete waste of time, it's this and that. But also social media can be used for, educational purposes, to revise, to study, etc. Give a solution. So what can be done? So always try to look at a potential solution for this question, okay? Because that would give you an excellent understanding as well, okay? So that is what you need to do for paper 2 question 5. See if you can provide a counter. If you can't, then obviously it's not the end of the world, okay? So that's your counter argument done. Moving on, okay, so that's that. Yeah, so that is that. And another potential paragraph you can write for question 5 is literally an anecdote. Okay, if your mind goes blank, what you can do is you need to look at writing an anecdote. So if you make up an anecdote tomorrow, see if you can make up a personal story that is helping you get your point across, and how that can add weight to your argument. When you use facts, see if you can provide it from authority. So don't just say a recent study. Maybe it could be from a university. A recent study carried out by Oxford University had suggested that 42% of students dot dot dot. Okay, so that's something that you want to do. So if you use facts and figures, students, or statistics, or expert opinion, give it from authority. The reason being, it adds weight to your argument. Something so small but effective. And yes, ambitious vocabulary, absolutely important for this question. Yeah, don't stress about the address. Even if you forget, it's not the end of the world. The examiner is concerned with the quality of your writing. Okay, what you mentioned within the question, and something that a lot of students forget for some strange reason is using hyperbole. Right, so hyperbole is literally a form of exaggeration, and it's something that you can use to get your point across. If it's a speech, okay, remember, greet the audience, and then tell the audience what your speech will be about. Okay, so if you are finding this YouTube live beneficial, do give a thumbs up, do give this live stream a like, as this is our final YouTube live for the class of 2023. And I hope you all are finding these YouTube lives beneficial. There's a lot to cover, I do understand. We have 28 students on this live, and that is literally question 5 for you. So you're aiming to write 2 to 2.5 sides. Make sure you spend 45 minutes. I cannot stress this enough. This question can really change things around. Even if you think that section A didn't go too well, trust me, question 5, you can turn it around. Okay, so try your best. And remember the triple C rule: convincing, compelling communication. Your answer should sound convincing, so it should sound believable. It should sound compelling, so it should be interesting, and your communication should be clear as well. Okay, so that's that for your question 5. Okay, we are going to create some content for A levels, in terms of A level maths, A level further maths, biology, chemistry, etc. So you will see those sort of videos going out, and I know a lot of you are going to study A levels next year. So I am going to get teachers to do sort of videos covering the entire course, and do live streams near to the exam as well. So if you would like to see that, leave a thumbs up. If you would like to see A level biology, chemistry, physics, maths, economics, law, YouTube videos, do leave a thumbs up, so I can sort of get that prepared. Okay. Okay. So if you have an anecdote, right? So it has to be linked to the statement or your point of view, what you're arguing. If you can't think of one, obviously don't stress over it. It's not the end of the world. But literally, it's something that if you can use, it can help you potentially get top marks. Okay. So it's literally a short story from something that happened in the past. Okay. So that's that. Okay, so s- could you? Okay, so what about question 4? Question 4 we've already covered. So what you can do is after this live ends, you can just replay the live. Also, if you just want to save time, you probably want to go into my YouTube video playlist and have a look at question 4, and sort of see if there's any questions or anything you want to ask. Okay, so that is question 5 for you. So what we'll do for the last 5 to 10 minutes, I'll take some we'll take it to 1 hour. I know I did say half an hour, but we'll take it to 1 hour. The last 10 minutes, I'll just take questions, especially for language paper 2. Okay, so please, if you have any final questions, class of 2023, please ask if you have any questions. Anything to do with questions 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. Okay, I'm happy to answer them for the last 10 minutes. Okay, well done to all students. You all have worked really well this year. Even the students I teach personally, I've seen you all make substantial progress. I'm really, really proud of your effort in class, and you all have come a long way. Okay, right. Conclusion tips and okay, conclusion tips and predictions. Okay, so if you're talking about conclusion, so for question 5, you're essentially echoing what you said in your first paragraph. You're in a way repeating it, but in a different way. Okay, so that's that. Okay, what's your prediction for question 5? Okay, good point. My prediction, I think tomorrow. Again, we have seen an article appear many times. Last year we had advanced information for the year 11, so it was, in fact, writing an article. So this year, I reckon. Okay, my prediction is either it's a letter or a speech. Okay, but I could be wrong. Don't rely solely on what I say. It's just a prediction, but I think it'll either be a letter or a speech. Okay, but who knows? It could end up being an article. Okay, what's the difference between breadsheet? What's a breadsheet? You mean broadsheet and tablet? It will come because okay. If you're talking AQA, we're just talking about a generic a newspaper article. Okay, so all you need to do is literally include a title, followed by a strap line, and then obviously your subheadings as well. Okay, but again, even if you guys forget somehow, the examiner is focused more on the quality of your writing. Thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate everything you have done for us. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I've started this YouTube channel literally 3 months ago, and we're on 1.3 K subscribers. So I'm, grateful for your support. And remember, just because we are coming towards the end of GCSEs, this journey continues. So to those of you starting A levels, you'll see a lot of content up there, and also how to write CVs, how to write personal statements, future career paths, side hustles, how to save money, how to invest money. So I'll be doing videos like that as well. Okay. Thank you for this. You probably saved my GCSE. I appreciate that. Thank you, William. Thank you for everything you have explained. Thank you, Quinta. Thank you, Maya. Excellent. Okay, so that is that. Remember tomorrow, class. Okay, I really, really, again, I will say this in all honesty. The examiners, they actually mark leniently. Take it from me. The reason being, I've personally worked with AQA. Okay, so I've worked with examiners. I've worked with the exam board, and trust me, they mark your work to compliment or to praise your answers, not to scrutinize. Remember that. Um, Imagine they give a topic you don't know that much. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Imagine they give a topic you don't know that much about for question. That's a good question, Tahira. So that has happened. So to those of you, um, if you think about it, if you do get a question that you're completely, confused or perplexed about. So, for example, to those of you who I teach personally, you probably have seen the question where we've looked at. Fast fashion, right? Now, let's be honest, some of you were confused and you're like, sir, what is fast fashion? We've never heard of it. So fortunately, you've got the acronym. So, you can literally use money, education, environment, self, and society. So, if you use that, I'm sure you can write a good answer for this question. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Tahira. So don't panic. If you refer to MESS, the acronym, you should be good to go. Do we need an introduction and conclusion for any question? Okay, so I would say for question 5, so the last question, I'll probably say, yeah, you would want to have an introduction and conclusion. I think it gives it a nice structure. So which school do you teach in? So right now, I don't I've got my qualifications, so I did it in a school in North London, but I'm no longer working in a school. I work in a different sector. Keep doing this for the other years. I can't lie, been very helpful. Thank you very much. So yes, I do have big plans for the YouTube channel. So lots of plans for the YouTube channel in terms of moving forward. So it was one of my goals for 2023 to start a YouTube channel and get monetized and turn it into an income. So sort of so big goals and sort of big plans for this channel. uh Thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate everything. Yeah, thank you very much, Talha. So what's your email? Okay, I'm not going to put it here, Talha. If you message later, I can let you know about that. Thank you. Thank you. I think okay, that's fine. Thank you. Okay, I've answered that question. Keep. So, what happens if we faint in the exam? Okay, so hopefully that doesn't happen to you. Make sure. I know it's quite warm today. To those of you who I taught today, I'm sure you realize how hot it was. There was, in fact, a mosquito that was attacking us. So yeah, you just have to be hydrated and make sure. Obviously, you're wearing loose clothing as well. Okay, so that's that. I'll see you again in the future, sir. Okay, Riyadh. So hopefully, you never know. The world is really small, so you never know. You get sent to, yeah, you probably get sent to the medical room. Thank you, sir. I was happy to be your student, and I wish you all the best. Yeah, thank you so much. This was my final year of teaching face to face. So class of 2023. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I really, really, I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I hope you all found my English lessons face to face and also online beneficial for all of you. I know there's a large chunk of you I teach online as well, from London, Manchester, Birmingham, and Newcastle as well. So again, I'm really, really appreciative of the support, and continue to support, as we do have big plans moving forward. Sir, could you get in trouble if you talk about something controversial like? Uh, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you just follow MESS, like the acronym, you should be good to go. Okay, so I think keep it simple, stick to the MESS acronym, and you should be good to go. So that's fine. Yeah, that's unlikely. Uh, wow, okay. So what did you get in your English GCSE? I got a grade 9. Okay. This is a solid business idea to start a tutoring company. Yeah, that's correct. So, to those of you studying A levels, I am going to offer A levels tuition and GCSE for September. So, currently, I've got over 250 students. So, September, we're going for a big um, launch. So if you are interested in A level online tuition, we are going to have qualified A level teachers teaching you A levels as well. So it'll be online, and you'll have the best of the best teachers teaching you, and we'll have lots of free things happening just to give back and help you all for your future careers and endeavors. Um, okay, what? Okay, okay, awesome. So it finally rained. Okay, awesome. It hit 30 degrees. Yeah, it is quite warm today. So yeah, it is quite warm, Riyadh. Thank you, sir, for your efforts and hard work. You've helped me improve my English language. Wishing you all the best. Thank you, Tahira. You've made a lot of progress within the short span of time I've taught you. So all the best, and go into the exam, and do really well. You've got everything now in preparation for language paper 2. So hopefully I should get some good feedback from you all. And again, this channel you'll be able to sort of ask questions moving into A levels, university. So there's a lot of things moving on with this channel. What should you do if you only have 15 minutes to write question 5? If you have 15 minutes, I wouldn't, Natasha, I would say you need to more than 15 minutes. You need to strictly give yourself at least literally, I would say 45 minutes. 15 minutes is too short, okay? It's too short for you to, write a decent answer. So Natasha, please make sure, keep an eye on the time. in terms of that. What are your plans for the channel? So my plans for the channel is to go international, to go global. So I do have plans of traveling to New York, to Dubai, and just expanding and getting the word out there and providing high quality education again on YouTube, which is easily accessible for people all around the world. Currently, I have students from Dubai, from Muscat in Oman, and also Doha in Qatar. So, what my plans are simply is to expand and go international. Okay, and obviously have the best of the best teachers working and providing excellent services. Okay, okay. Thank you, Tahira, Jay. All the best. Okay, you've worked really well this year. Okay, so you all. Thank you, Shanaz. Well done. All the best for your exams. You all have worked really, really well this week, this year. Yeah, great. Now I'll probably just work. Can we switch brain now to my? Okay, can we switch brains? I'll pay you up. No, I've got work tomorrow morning, so I don't think that's possible. Um, Aisha, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Well done, Aisha. You've worked really, really well. I hope you have found your lessons beneficial and all the best. This class of 2023, again, it's a special class. And I really hope you guys go on to ace your exams. And remember, this evening, after this live, don't stress, don't relax. Trust me, you've got this. Okay, just relax. Just flick through your notes and go to sleep early. And that's all. Tomorrow, you will want to. Sir, I want to be tutored one to one by you. Is that possible? Riyadh, so again, we can talk about that. So if you're talking about A levels, that could be a possibility. But again, it will depend on my schedule. So I'm sure I've got an extremely busy schedule. But we'll see what we can do. Okay, Talha. No. So, real story. Like, I'll be honest with you. Some of you guys know my English teacher, right? So she predicted me a grade 5. Okay, but I turned it around. Okay, with tuition, and I ended up with a grade 9. Uh, so where are you right now? I need more lessons. How did you get a 9? I would say, obviously we're literally like less than 12 hours away. I would say literally focus on question 4 and question 5. If you want to do really well. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, no bullying. Can we stop the bullying, please? Okay. We need to ask questions that no a man's. Okay. No comment. I'm not answering that. What's that? No, that's a good. What do you mean? So why quit your job? Why quit my job? What do you mean? Why quit your job? What do you mean? I don't understand. I'm not quitting my job. Uh, you okay? Nope, I can't answer that. Thank you for helping me progress. Thank you, Tamim. So you're gonna get me a nut. What's your this channel? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Exactly, Riyadh. So this is what this is what I mean. What if you? Okay. Right. I'm gonna. Okay. So Tamim. So tutored. So if you're talking you need to, yeah, we can talk about that later. And obviously, depending what A levels, there's specific A levels I've done, so I'll probably be doing those. But again, it depends. So okay, right. Okay, we don't. Okay, let's just stick to what's on the screen. I flopped paper one. Can I still do good? Yeah, absolutely. Even if you messed up paper one, you still have paper two to turn it around. Um, Okay, can we stop with these comments? Okay, let's stick to what. Yes. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So why don't. These? Don't go. These don't go. Okay, thanks. This has been really helpful. I hope everyone does well, and inshallah you will. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And trust me, tomorrow you are all going to do really well. Uh, okay, awesome. Okay, so what I'll say is this is probably the last YouTube live for the class of 2023. So I am no longer going to be doing YouTube lives. So again, that's something that I hope you all have found it beneficial. So if I get a 9, I'll buy you a house. Awesome. So you can end the live. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so I'm gonna end the live here. But thank you very much. All the best for the future class of 2023. Do subscribe, like, and share with your family and friends. And we shall. Yes, Riyadh, it is the last time, so it's been a long journey, but obviously, these things have to come to an end. But all the best, and I shall hopefully hear some good results. And tomorrow I'll put up a community post whilst I'm at work, just to get your reaction. Um, you taught me more than my hamster. Okay, okay, well done. Wa alaikum salam. Okay, right. So I'm gonna have to end it here because the chat is too much. I'm gonna miss those days. Thank you, Riyadh. Yes, a lot of you here I've taught you for a very long time, and yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, so please share it. I know, so okay, okay. I'm gonna have to end it because people are just being silly now. So what I'm going to say is that if you have younger siblings in primary school, we are going to be creating content for a primary school. So I know most of you probably have younger siblings in primary, so we're going to create maths and English videos for primary school. So do share it with your siblings in primary, and there'll be lots of content up there. Okay, so I know most of you have siblings in primary school, maths and English. So we'll have courses for primary and secondary, and also for the next year's year 11, I plan to have a full GCSE English language course ready for next year. But yeah, so all the best. Perhaps tomorrow I'll upload a community post. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, class of 2023. And I shall hopefully hear good news from you all very soon. Thank you.